Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin-Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Well, hey, I am Tyler Price, and Brian Magleby is not here. It's like me and Brian don't ever talk anymore. Tyson was asking if we were divorced earlier, but we're not. We're still good buddies. Just things happen, things come up. And so today I'm solo again. Hey, last week we had Ty Jones on. Ty's doing cool stuff with building tiny homes. That's kind of a new thing that's not new, but it's a thing that's really gaining some traction in today's world with there's kind of a crisis in housing. So anyway, but Ty was doing some cool things in building, and be watching more for Ty Jones and tiny home culture even coming stronger here in Eastern Idaho. But before we get into today's guest, let's talk a little bit about our sponsors. Super grateful for Tyson, first off, at New Line Media. Tyson does a lot of things, more than just produce this show. He's also doing video. He can help with marketing, automation, task automation, documenting any events. I mean, just there's a lot of aerial photography, animation, anything like that. Tyson with New Line Media is a tremendous resource. Always, we love the guys at BBSI, the guys and gals at BBSI. They've been with us from the beginning. They're doing great things. If you have any sort of payroll needs, onboarding, if you're a company that's looking to exit, they have strategies. They can help find employment or employees. They do it all. So if you have any sort of need, and they work with small to very large businesses, but if you have any sort of need like that, we recommend BBSI. We'll go Volpine. Hey, Volpine Marketing, another great local business that does great things out there, and super grateful for Ryan Jose and his managing of our website and that information. Then, of course, the Idaho Innovation Center. If you're starting a business, and this is the Small Business Development Center and Idaho Innovation Center are really tied closely, but there are great classes that are going on. There's also, if you're starting a business and need incubator space, the Idaho Innovation Center, I think right now they're pretty full, but they try to bring in new businesses. They have a significant success rate as people graduate from the Idaho Innovation Center. There's a 95% success rate from the businesses that have gone through that. And I give a lot of credit to Brian Magleby and the group there at the Idaho Innovation Center. And then the Small Business Development Center, offering some great courses and classes. And if you're looking to start business, if you're looking for help in your existing business, the Small Business Development Center at zero cost has great people that have done significant business transactions personally. And so I highly recommend the SBDC as well. With that, today, we're going to be talking about something that I find fascinating, and it's honeybees. We got Cox Honey here with us today. We have Adam French and Brent Cox that are Brett. Brent. Sorry, I'm just sitting here screwing up your name. I had it right the first go round. But super grateful that these guys are here to talk some business with us and for us to learn a little bit more about the Cox operation. And at the end of this, we'll also be talking about some unique selling propositions, and we'll have Adam and Brent stick around and help with that. Before we bring them on, or before we show the video, on the 9th, we have a great show. It's going to be an hour-long show with inventors and people that have patented products. And so come and be a part of that. We'll be doing that one actually at the Innovation Center, but we have 4 people that have patented products. We'll talk about their process, what they went through, and all the fun and joy of patenting products, which is actually a tricky thing. But so anyway, we're going to start with this video on Cox's honey, and then have Adam and Brent come on, and we'll then go from there.
The way they make honey is they need lots of bloom. So they need about 5 acres of bloom to a colony. We've got 3 crews going 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
So you're out at the colonies all week long. That's your full-time job, basically.
Yeah. Till harvest. I'm 4th generation beekeeper, 3rd generation Cox's honey. Farmers wanted to do more farming and less beekeeping, so Grandpa came up with an idea to run the colonies for them, and then he would give the farmers honey. And that tradition still carries on. We pay them honey to be able to put our bees on their land.
We know exactly where our honey's coming from. We work our own bees, we know what they've been through throughout the year, and so it's really good because we can follow that honey right from the hive all the way to the bottle. We don't overheat our honey, we don't filter our honey, so we screen it, but you still get all the pollens, the live enzymes, the vitamins, the minerals. It's good to be a producer packer. There's not many of those around. One thing we like to concentrate on is moisture content as well. A lot of stuff you're getting on the shelf is sugar water because they've heated it so much it's killed all the enzymes. But we try and keep ours as thick and as pure as it is coming out of the hive. So. Cox has been around for so long because we've been so consistent in making sure that it's that high mountain clover that's supreme as far as taste and quality in it.
Hey, first off, we have to talk, Brent, a little bit about you being half the man you used to be. I mean, you look good in that video, but you look like you've lost some pounds. So what is that? What's that diet, or what have you done to lose the pounds there?
Obviously, it's honey.
Honey, just going straight honey diet. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks.
Honey on toast,
Yeah.
honey on oatmeal,
Yeah.
honey on corn, honey on my eggs, honey on my potatoes,
Yeah.
honey on my steak.
So honey is the secret. You need to have a YouTube channel on the honey diet.
I actually, if you just drizzle just a little bit of honey, you can use it like a spice.
Yeah.
It enhances the flavor of your food.
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. So 4th generation is what we saw there in the video. So who started the Cox's honey then?
Grandpa did, 1920.
Your grandpa?
Yeah, my
Or-
grandpa.
okay.
Grew up, he was the youngest of 22 children,
Uh-huh.
2 mothers, and his older brothers and my great-grandfather kept bees in Utah.
Yeah.
One of the sons came up here, and my grandpa followed him. And at the time, farmers ran their own bees.
Yeah.
And they collected their own honey. But as farmers get older, they want less and less to do.
Yeah.
And Grandpa found a good opportunity to start integrating his farming in with beekeeping.
Yeah.
And he started getting hives from these farmers. Of course, he kept them out on their land. That's where the bees need to be. That's their home, right? But he took care of them. So as a trade for the bees, Grandpa would give them some honey, and he would call it honey rent.
Yeah.
So the landowners would receive a portion of the honey.
Yeah.
And so.
No, that's nothing better than Cox Creamy Honey by Brian, as you can remember it as a kid. So, but I love talking to bee people, and I just ask a lot of questions. I've never owned hives yet. Every year I keep saying I'm going to get me a hive this year. I got chickens, but no hives. But tell people what happens if we don't have bees on this planet.
Well, 1/3 of your produce department
Yeah.
would not exist.
Yeah.
You go into the grocery store, go into your produce department. Now take away 1/3 of those vegetables and fruits. Without honeybees, they wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
But that would affect also the larger ecosystem, the birds and the bees, and it would be almost like a domino effect. If you took away the honeybees, other things would stop to grow.
It would be a scary thing, and we did have that. Maybe you can speak to the colony collapse. What have they kind of figured that out? Is that still a real issue for your industry?
I believe colony collapse was just a generalized term.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that affect, there's 1,000 things that can kill bees. The one true thing that we have to fight colony collapse disorder is flowers.
Yeah.
Okay? Flowers in any shape or form. We need flowers.
Yeah.
And so in the birds and the butterflies, the bees, they all need flowers.
Right.
Okay? So colony collapse, there were several different diseases, bacterias, viruses, one in particular, a mite called varroa mite.
Mm-hmm.
All these things, chemicals, the things that we spray on our crops affect the bees. All these things put together can decimate honeybees.
Yeah. And so where are we now with that? Because it's obviously always going to be a problem, right? Or
Right.
is, okay.
It will always, so as I mentioned in the beginning, flowers is the way we combat that. So the more that we can get, I'm not a big fan of the Idaho noxious weed program,
Right.
because we need those flowers.
Yeah.
And
Dandelions being one, right?
and dandelions being the first one of the spring.
Yeah.
If we can come to a place where if the weeds are growing and they're producing flowers and we don't have to walk there and it's not bothering us,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice to just leave it alone?
Let it be. Yeah, I agree. I think parks in particular, if the parks that have hills and things, if those yellow, because those dandelions are pretty when they're in, because I've seen some lawns that it's all dandelions, that are people that are either not take, maybe they just don't mow their lawn, or they care about the honeybees that much. But those dandelions, they're pretty, I think.
They
So,
are extremely important. Another one that people don't like, but it's an important one to the honeybees, is the thistles.
Thistles, and that's a purple, pretty flower, I think too.
It is. That's one of the
Yeah.
few flowers that a honeybee can go back to in the same day and keep collecting nectar from it all day long. Whereas most flowers, a bee will go to it, collect the nectar, and it's done for that day. You can't go back to that flower till the next day.
Yeah. So you grew up then working bees, is that right? Or when did you get involved?
My earliest remembrance, the colony was about 3 feet off the ground, and I was looking up. My
So
dad
you were
told me to
trying to-
pound in the roof nail
Yeah.
into the lid so
Yeah.
the lid would stay on the colony. So I was probably about 2 or 3 years old. That was my first memory that I have. Because I got stung that day.
Yeah. Well, funny thing you said that. My granddaughter got stung for the first time today on her foot, and she was letting me know about it. And she wasn't having any adverse reaction, so we'll call that a win, right?
It'll create a lasting memory for
Yes, yeah. So, and we'll say how much we love bees, though, too. So, well, and we're going to get Adam involved in this conversation here, too. But super fascinating stuff. So, all through your grade school, junior high, high school, you had some work that you were doing with the family.
I was able to work all summer long every year.
Yeah.
Because of the bee business.
Yeah. And then, Adam, you came along, and you're the CFO for Cox's Honey?
I am.
Yeah. So how did you get involved first off, and then, did you come from that type of a background?
Hey, can I start by
let's
saying
do it.
that he was the son my dad wished he had?
I don't know.
Did you marry into the family?
No, I did not.
All right.
No, my background is business.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be looking for a job at the time. And I went and visited Cox's Honey. I heard they were looking for somebody. When I got there, Roy, which is an uncle, to Brent, said, we're not really looking for anybody. So I left my resume anyways. And I'm from Shelley.
Right.
So at the time I was living in Rigby, I'd like to get back to Shelley. And so anyways, the next morning, Roy and Merrill, Brent's dad, offered me a job. Said, we need to hire you for some reason. And here we are. So it's been really good.
Yeah. So your background wasn't necessarily honey before.
Correct.
But you're helping to crunch numbers and run, because you guys are getting killed right now, I'm sure, with gas prices going up. I'm sure that's impacting what you do. I mean, there's a lot of inflation that we've seen all the way around, but you're sitting there kind of helping to price honey. Is that part of what you do? Or what's your
So
day-to-day?
we have to actually buy honey because we don't produce everything that we
Right.
package. So we buy from other local beekeepers that are around who are also having to raise their prices because of fuel and labor costs and those kinds of things. And so I've developed relationships with a lot of the beekeepers that are around so that we can do where they would sell to me, and we'll package the honey for them and stuff.
So, but you still do run hives yourselves?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 bee businesses. We run anywhere from 10,000 to about 13,000 colonies.
Wow, that's a big number. So do you guys support, or do you do anything for the hobbyists like me that want to kind of get into it? Do you sell bees at all? I'm just asking for a friend.
So we used to do it quite a bit.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we kind of left that because we wanted to focus on our own outfit and growing it.
Yeah.
But then this last spring, we actually offered some nukes for
Okay.
people to come and to buy. And then we
Well-
also carry all the beekeeping equipment as well in the store.
Well, I'm going to be hitting you up next year, because last year my neighbor stuck his hives in my yard, and I would just stand out there and just watch the bees, because they have a flight path.
They do.
They communicate to each other. I sat there and watched them dance and do stuff like that. Anyway, there's just all this interesting, for me anyway. I'm just a weird guy that's going to stand right in the flight.
I know, but it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
Just sit there and just
It is.
watch them. You
Yeah.
listen to it. Very zen. Very zen.
Yeah, when you have a bunch of hives, because I've been out by a bunch of hives, and they're all humming, like you can
Oh, yeah.
audibly hear that. That's cool too. So
It's
yeah.
interesting at the end of the day, when you've been working bees all day long, you get in your vehicle to drive home and all you hear is the humming.
The humming.
That's all you're hearing. So, but it's awesome.
Yeah, wait till you start dreaming about it.
Yeah.
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 3D.
Well, what's been for you, and we'll have both of you answer this question. We'll start with Adam. What's been one of the most rewarding parts of being involved? Because you actually ultimately bought into the company, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why would you do that? What's been the most rewarding part of being involved with this?
You know, Cox's Honey's been around since 1927, right? 95 years this year. And the history behind it, the foundation that it was built on, I think to me was fascinating. I hate I hate wasps and hornets and all that stuff,
Yeah.
but I love bees.
Yeah.
And so be able to get involved in this business and looking at what they had, right? They had an awesome product. They had their liquid honey, and then of course their creamed honey that we're renowned for. And I just knew that this was a great business, and all I had to do was we just had to get the word out there
Yeah.
to grow it. And we've grown the last few years quite a bit. So, I was quite interested in that.
Yeah. Well, very good. And how about you, Brent? What's been some of the rewarding aspects of it?
Well, like Adam said a few minutes ago, you noticed we buy honey from other beekeepers
Yeah.
because we sell 100 times more than we produce.
Yeah.
We have a lot of colonies.
Yeah. I mean, 13,000. That's a big number.
Really, without much advertising, because we've been around so long, we have no problem selling what we produce.
Right.
So that's very rewarding. But as I tell the beekeepers, I like to remind them when they're hot and sweaty and they've been working all day, let's just stand here and take a moment.
Yeah.
And just listen to these things. It's fun to open up a colony and see the work that they've done.
Yeah.
You can see the life, all the brood, the brand new life that's about to emerge, the nectar that they've gathered and dried out and turned into honey and then capped it.
Yeah.
That's the harvest part of it. That's a whole year's worth of work coming to the end of July and the beginning of August is when we start harvest.
Yeah.
And it's so rewarding.
Yeah. And so when harvest is happening, you have to leave a percentage of the honey with them, or are you
Absolutely.
housing them and then feeding them all winter?
Yeah, so sugared, they could survive off of it for a time.
Right.
Honey is the complete nutrition that the bees need.
Yeah.
So it'd be like you and I living off from a diet of vegetables and meat
Yeah.
versus a sugary soda and a
Right.
cake.
Yeah. I've tried it. It doesn't work. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about what distribution channels have worked best, and what major grocery stores you're in right now. That's
Adam.
from Brian Maverick.
You know, we've actually capitalized on a lot of different things. We're in a lot of major grocery stores, Winco, Walmart,
I see your product, yep.
Fred Meyer, and then some other grocery stores down in Utah. We also are in like Nicholas, U.S. Foods,
Okay.
Cisco.
So that's
We
getting
also sell
distributed to
them.
restaurants and things
Yep,
like that.
Yep,
Okay.
we do that. And then, of course, we have an online presence. We're
Yeah.
on Amazon and do very well on Amazon as
yeah.
far as selling honey. We're also starting to see quite a movement locally. Hence, that's why we built on our new retail stores, because we have a lot of people that are wanting to come in and get our honey at a
Yeah.
store, and they're
Yeah.
wanting to fill their own containers, which we do now. And
Yeah.
so we were starting to see that a lot more locally, and we like that, because then we can talk to people, and
Yeah.
people are, like I said, they're fascinated, right? And I love to sit there and talk to them all day long about bees and what they do, and
Yeah.
because they're fascinating creatures, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah, no, that hive, like, again, I've talked to an old timer that is still very active in the industry, and just his stories are just I just sit. I've literally talked to him at 3 hours straight. I think just question after question,
Yeah.
and just the what's been. I guess I'll put you on the spot, Brett. What's been one of the most fascinating things that you see that bees do?
Okay, so we pollinate the almonds in California.
Okay. Yeah.
If you ever been in an almond grove where it's a mile by a mile of solid trees,
Wow.
and then when that orchard comes into bloom, hundreds of millions of flowers,
Yeah.
and these bees go to work.
Yeah. I'm sure.
I mean, they how you can tell a tree's getting a good pollination is you look at the tree, you divide it into 4 quadrants, and then you focus on a quadrant and you try and find the bees. If you have 1 or 2 bees in each quadrant, you know that tree's getting a good pollination.
Right.
That's just something the almond farmers do. But to me, that was probably in my lifetime. I mean, I love watching them bring in nectar.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about nectar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So when the bees bring in the nectar, it's what, 96% water,
Right.
and you dig your finger in there and put that in your mouth. They call that the drink of the gods.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It is that good.
Yeah.
And nectar is only nectar for about 24 hours. That they dry it out and turn it
Okay.
into honey. So
And they're doing that
so
with their
very few people on
Yeah.
this planet have really ever had
the
nectar.
Well, I'm coming out to have some now. Tell me about one thing, and I don't know much about it, so, and you could just say, yeah, pass. But what about royal jelly? What is that? Who's making that? Who's consuming that?
Have you ever had very sour, bitter yogurt?
Yeah.
Not real pleasing.
right.
That's what it tastes like.
Yeah.
The boys want to taste it out. My beekeepers want to taste it every once in a while because we talk about it. It's a health food, right?
Right.
It's supposed to be a health food. Helps the queen live, her longevity go way up
Yeah.
because it's a strict diet of royal jelly.
Yeah.
Supposedly would do the same thing for us, but to be able to collect that, harvest that in like one little drop at a time, which is at the bottom of each queen cell,
Yeah.
is extremely expensive, tedious work. So, but its taste is terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that part of
Yeah.
it. But I've heard people claim that maybe it's the fountain of youth type stuff. What's your feeling on that?
I don't know.
I mean, it helps.
Grandpa lived to be 89.
Yeah, so
but I don't know how much.
That's doing
I don't know
okay.
how much royal jelly.
I don't know how much.
he ate.
Yeah. He's probably like, why would you eat this when you got
he
nectar?
he would always say though that he kept arthritis at bay because of bee stings.
Yeah. No, I've heard that. Even like, because what's the glandulars that they bring across, and sometimes you collect that, right? Or the pollen.
The
Pollens,
pollens.
right? So do you consume that yourself, the pollen?
You know, all right. So Adam can talk about this. One of our processes is for honey. You know, pollen's in the honey
Right.
naturally,
Yeah.
and so we try not to extract that. You want to talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit?
so when we process our honey, after extraction process, a lot of that pollen is in the honey.
Right.
And so when we're going to package it, we actually run all the honey through cheesecloth screens, which allows the pollens to stay in the honey, and it takes out any big part,
Right.
like any pieces of wood or wax or anything like that. So you're not getting that in your bottle.
Right.
And but it allows the pollens to continue to go through it, and that's why it's raw and unfiltered honey, is because it contains those pollens that help us.
Yeah.
It's to the bees, it's their only source of protein. So
Yeah.
for us, it's really good too.
Yeah. Someone gave us some pollen glandulars. They look kind of like grape nuts, basically.
Yep, that's right.
And they said, you can eat this and it's going to help you. This is how it's going to help you. But then there's like, but just eat a little bit. And so to me, a little bit was more than what I should have. My face went numb.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if that's a reaction.
Yeah,
Very,
if you
very
ca-
potent.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
you consume a lot of pollen, it can kill you.
Yeah.
because it's
Oh, well,
just
that's
so
good to
potent.
know.
It's just so potent, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why
I
I
had
got to be careful.
I had an experience just out here east of Ottawa Falls one time where the bees were bringing in dandelion pollen,
Uh-huh.
and they had those little tiny pollen sacs on the back of their legs. I put my finger on the back of one and knocked that pollen sac off, and the pollen sac stuck to my finger, and I put that in my mouth. So
Yeah.
fresh dandelion pollen. I thought I was going to choke.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and it closed up my throat, but it actually had a sweet little taste to it,
Yeah.
and I survived it, but
Yeah.
it's very potent.
But not something you're going to do again.
No, actually, I've done it. I think the more you do it, the more you get
But-
used to
right.
it, and the pollen's good for you.
Yeah.
But it's very potent.
Yeah, I think it helps when I've done things like that, that it helps me because I suffer from allergies. and certain years are more than others. But
Sure.
But I don't know. Is there something to honey and allergies helping with that? I mean, you talked about arthritis, but what are some of the benefits of honey other than the fact it tastes good?
So one of the things that we do, like in the retail store that we have, is we offer a comb honey, and a lot of people come in, they get it for a treat more than anything because it's pretty powerful as far as sugar, the honey and everything. But what we sell for mostly is it's more of a potent form of being able to go against your allergies. People take a spoonful of that, they'll ingest that. Their body will create immunity to those pollens. That will help with their allergies. And then, of course, after they're done with the comb honey, then we tell them to keep buying the local honey, the Cox's honey, so that they that pollen ingestion. And we've had lots of people come back and said this really works for me.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you probably don't like say absolutely 100% it does this, but I've found that it's helped me. But so you mentioned the almond grove. So you are taking your bees and trucking them places to pollinate, or how exactly is that being done?
Just the almonds. This year we tried a few blueberries and some apples, but the whole outfit goes on the almonds.
So then you just load them on a truck and drive them down.
Yeah, we're doing flatbed semis, 400 colonies to a semi.
Right.
We truck them down there. I have a team up here in Idaho that loads them up, and a team in California that unloads them,
and then you bring them back.
Spread them. Yeah, so we start about January 5th and come back about April 1st.
Yeah. And so what's that like? I mean, because occasionally you see that truckloads tip over or things like that, but
so sad.
Yeah, it is, because they end up kind of destroying those bees.
Well, there's nothing you can do. They're so mixed up. There's just nothing you can do for them, right?
So yeah, what's that process then of getting them from Idaho to, I'm assuming, California, Arizona, Texas? Where are you sending them to?
So it's just a matter of staging them into one location so that you can get them on the truck as fast as possible.
Right.
Get them on the road, get that airflow, because you're hauling a live animal basically, and then as soon as they get there, getting them off the truck as fast as possible. Yeah. And if you can do it in the dark, the better.
So you're trying to drive in the dark when it's cooler and things as well, or what's?
Actually, we tell the truck drivers to drive during the day.
Okay.
And if they need to stop at night, because the cool air will help to keep them calm.
And the bees stay in for the most part?
Yeah, so the sun is just like a time clock for these little... The honeybees almost punch a time clock. Yeah. Every single morning, almost the same time. It kind of depends on the temperature and... but at the same time, it's like they all fly out at the same time, and then at night when they come home, they all come home at the same time, and you can actually watch that. And they're coming in and out all day long, but it is like punching a time clock for them.
And what is the life expectancy? And I'm sure there's variables, but by and large, how long does a honeybee? Because those guys are hustling.
Well, all right. So our fall bees, we would like them to last all winter long for the pollination the next year for January, going to California. But in the summer, they could probably work themselves to death inside of 6 weeks.
Yeah. And that's kind of what they do. They just get in and work themselves to death.
Yep.
And then that queen in a hive is just laying eggs, or not eggs, she's hatching. What's the right terminology?
Yeah, no,
she's laying eggs.
She's laying eggs.
She's laying eggs. It's real fast process. Her egg, when she lays it, standing straight up. And then within the next 24 to 48 hours, it lays down and hatches out into what I call a little gel. And then that little gel turns into a larva. 5 days later, they have that capped into a cocoon. And then by 21 days, we have a brand new baby bee.
Wow. And the beehive just knows, like, if the queen starts to wear, they know, okay, what are they going to do? If they can tell, because they can, right? They can tell this queen is coming to the end. What's their next step?
Royal jelly.
Royal jelly.
So yeah, they elongate the cell. I can actually make a queen cell by taking, once that little egg is created and it hatches out into that little jelly, take and destroy the bottom part of that cell, and then the bees will go in there and start making a queen cell out of that, and they'll put royal jelly in there. So all honeybees are female bees.
Yeah.
So all they've done is they've allowed the female anatomy to grow to be able to lay eggs by elongating the cell and feeding her a strict diet of royal jelly.
Right.
And so they will do that and create a new queen.
And where are you getting your queens? Are you guys doing that process yourself, or are you buying your queens from
We
a
did
company?
both this year.
Both, yeah.
Most years we do both. There's some years where we buy all our queens, but
Yeah.
this year we actually produced about 50% of our own.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, and then what happens to the queen when the hive says, "All right, we've got a new queen"? What happens then?
It's all up to the queens.
Really?
They battle it out to the
Really?
death.
So
You have a mother-daughter situation, and the better queen. The mama might still be a good queen. Maybe
Right.
the queen, maybe the colony had some other ideas why they produced
Right.
a baby queen, but mama's not ready to give it up yet.
Yeah.
So she can win that battle.
Yeah.
But maybe daughter wins the battle, and then
Yeah.
they've requeened.
so that's how it happens, is battle.
Mhm.
They
Okay.
fight, yeah.
And then how many eggs are they laying every day?
This year, or this time of year,
Yeah.
probably about 3,000 a day.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
If the bees are, if they're dying like every 6 weeks, 4 to 6
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. No,
Right,
it
they
takes
got
that.
it. Yeah, she's got to be laying a lot in
Yeah.
order to reproduce that.
So then there is a time when they want the male bees around, but then what are the, because a hive is primarily female, right?
Yep.
So at what point do they say, you know what, you males can leave? So they've mated, the queen's doing her work, they don't need those guys anymore.
Well, Mother Nature's time to split the bees in order to grow the population of the honeybees all over the planet
Right.
is springtime.
Okay.
And so you'll notice a buildup of drones up to springtime. So we want the maximum amount of drones in springtime to create the best possibility of mating with the queens. So that's when you see the most drones. And then again, that'll happen again in the fall, because some queens are burnt out by the end of the season. They want to replace it. So you'll see a buildup of drones during the fall.
Yeah. Just for me, super fascinating. Hopefully other people are enjoying
Yeah.
this conversation,
Yeah.
because honestly, I could sit here and talk with you guys about this type of stuff for
Yeah, I
hours
mean,
and
you
hours.
got the female bees. They're the worker bees. They're the foragers. They're the guard
Yeah.
bees, right? They're the nurse bees. Yeah, there's not a whole lot that the drones.
Yeah,
do.
it's very much an Amazonian situation.
Yeah.
Really.
So and then but at some point, do your hives split every year? Or
We
what's causing
try
that?
to.
Yeah.
You want to replace that queen.
Right.
And so our little system for our own queens is if the colony dies out, then obviously the queen went
Right.
and they wasn't able to get her replaced. So we'll take the young healthy hive and we will physically split it in half, and we won't wait for Mother Nature to do it. If Mother Nature does it, it's too late.
Yeah.
They're going to take off in a
They're going
swarm,
to swarm and they're gone.
and then we've lost
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And so if we can get ahead of that process and just split them naturally, and create our own queen, or we can split them, find out where mama is, and then we can put baby in the other one.
Right.
And then they don't have to grow their own queen. And we're actually a month ahead why you would do that.
So then the hive can live without the queen is still being hatched then in that scenario,
Mhm.
right? So how long can a hive go without a queen directing things?
Probably the cycle of your brood.
Right.
So it's going to cycle every 21 days,
Right.
but it's going to be every day, every 21 days,
Right.
right? So you have eggs this day, eggs this day, eggs this day. So once they've ran out of the new generation baby bees, once those last ones are born, then they'll go, uh-oh, we don't have a queen yet.
Yeah.
And they're in trouble.
Yeah. Then
That's usually I typically think it's about 30 to 33 days. And if you haven't got a new queen by then, you're
and so you guys are watching that, and if you have queens that you have ordered,
Yeah.
you're sticking them in that
well,
hive.
that's the trick with
Yeah.
having 13,000
Yeah. Because I'm like just thinking that. Yeah, I was like, wow, that's like 10 full-time
That-
positions.
that
And
re-
those guys are hustling, right?
That requires, right now, we're running about 16 beekeepers.
Yeah.
So it's trying to keep on top of that.
Wow.
We
Super
spend what 2 to 3 weeks during the summertime dedicated to making sure that all of our colonies have our queen right.
Yeah.
They have a queen.
Because a queen should last a whole year or longer.
She could last up to 3 years.
Oh, so there's not like a
The royal jelly helps elongate her life. I would like her replaced at least every other year,
Uh-huh.
but every year would be a great scenario.
Yeah. Well, super cool stuff, and super grateful for you guys being here. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like to discuss?
I want to discuss our new honey stand.
Let's hear it. I want to hear it. Where is it? It's in Shelley?
It's in Shelley, right on the
Okay.
main road there
Yeah.
in Shelley. I don't know if you know where the old OK trailer building was,
Yeah.
and it's We're just south of that building.
Okay.
It's actually the old bowling alley in Shelley years and years ago. And
Did you keep a bowling lane?
you know what? We actually have one of the floor mats that says Rusted Lanes right on it.
Awesome.
And we kept that.
Yeah.
You know, we bought the building back in 2017. We went in, we gutted it.
Yeah.
So we put all new plumbing and walls and electrical and everything in it. Anyways, when we take the floor, we saw that floor mat. We got to keep that.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So we've been packing honey there for about 4 years now, and then just this year, I guess this last few months, we've been in our new retail location.
Yeah.
So it's an 1,800 square foot build on that we did, and we offer not just our honey now. We offer anything that has to do with bees or wax that's natural, baking, cooking.
You come in and get your
thing.
smoker and your bee suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We offer all that type of equipment as well. So.
Do you still wear a bee suit?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
At times.
At times. Yeah. Because I don't wear a seatbelt, so that's why I'm going to wear a bee suit.
Grandpa taught me something when I was probably about 8 years old. It's the last time I remember going out with Grandpa, actually. But he would keep his clothing up so that there was skin there.
Yeah.
And then he put on his gloves because it's hard work.
Right.
But he would always take bee stings in his wrist. And he says, "This is how I get my bee stings."
Yeah.
And anymore, I get so many of them, I just scratch them back out. It doesn't hurt, but I figure that's what he meant by taking care of.
Yeah.
Or getting the full, always getting that. Let's call it poison, because that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pure protein basically, but you keep your body used to that.
Yeah.
And supposed to help.
Yeah. The last bee sting I had, I was just driving in my car, minding my own business. A bee came, landed on my arm, stung me, and for like a month straight, it was like my muscle there was just like hardish.
Right, I know,
And
right?
it was and it was itchy and stuff.
So
I was cursing that bee.
Being a beekeeper, you want to try and keep yourself used to that, because the one thing that's going to stop you from working is if you have a bad reaction, and then I got to take you to the hospital or whatever, and then that ruins my day.
Yeah.
So I like to keep the beekeepers used to that by slowly and, taking bee stings.
Yeah. So people want to come and see. Do you tour the facility, the main plant, or
we are doing tours?
Okay.
So if they want to, they just need to call ahead of time and so we can get it scheduled, because we only do it on certain days. So we'll take people around the plant, show them what we're doing. It's a very simple process. I think most people are surprised at how simple the process is. Essentially, all we're doing is we melt down granulated honey, run it through these cheesecloth screens, we package it into bottles, and that's all it is. The creamed honey's a little different.
Yeah, because it's a process, right?
Yeah, it's a controlled form of granulation.
Right.
That we and then we run that through like a grain mill.
Yeah. So being someone that does want to own bees, I research it more than actually taking action. There's something called Flow Hive. Have you guys seen that?
Uh-huh.
And what's your opinion on that? Because you got one side that's like, oh, that sucks, and the other side that says this is really awesome. But what's your opinion on something like that?
You could do away with all your extracting equipment and it'd be untouched. All right, so from what I've found from the people that I know that have used it, I kind of tried one myself, but they break.
Yeah.
So the technology isn't there yet.
But the concept is.
But the concept is really good.
Yeah.
I've seen it in action. It's really good.
I as commercial beekeepers, there's no way we could do anything like that, right?
You would have to come up with your own form of that, right? And then make it.
But you could actually tap. It's like putting a tap in your hive.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a great idea for a hobbyist beekeeper. I would say at least check it out.
Yeah.
Right. And part of that is because as we get into our harvest season, we still have hot days, but we have cool nights. And so as far as the honey running, it wouldn't run until a little later on in the morning.
Right.
And then, and so it would kind of throw us off as far as timing goes. But for hobbyists, where they can wait that. All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
We just added another part of our business.
All right. You saw it here today. I inspired it, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
Well, super grateful. They graciously brought this in, and it's hard for me to want to give this away, but it is, how heavy is this?
5 pounds.
5 pounds of Cox's honey. This is the creamed honey.
That's correct.
And to the person that can answer the question of when was Cox's honey established, because we did say the year.
We did.
Right? And text that to Brian Maggleby's cell phone number, which is 208 something something. Oh, there we go. 208-520-9400. If you can get the right year, then I am going to begrudgingly give this away. And nobody does, then you're okay with me keeping it, right?
Sure,
okay.
sure.
I should have come up with a harder question.
Just come see us in the retail.
Yeah, no, I'm in. I want to come and check out the place and So everything comes there and then gets processed there and then shipped from.
Yes. Yeah, if you want to come there and sample the creamed honey, I think
Yeah.
Adam
We
has
have
some
samples,
samples
you
set
bet.
up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I highly recommend going and checking them out. Super gracious for your time today, or graciously sharing your time with us.
It was fun.
And like I said, I can sit here and talk honeybees.
I
for
think we
hours.
could too.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we could talk a lot.
that's-
So.
But, well, Brian has today scheduled a training on unique selling propositions. And so we're going to just kind of give our 2 cents on this and then run a video for it. But when you talk about unique selling propositions in your business, why would Winco or Fred Meyer, or you've listed a few, why would they buy your honey over somebody else's?
Go ahead.
I think that people know that Cox's has been consistent
Mhm.
for 95 years. There you go.
Yeah.
For 95 years, they've been consistent. They've produced and packaged the same honey
Yeah.
for years and years, and the creamed honey's been the same way the whole year. And so people know when they're picking our bottle off of the shelf, they know what they're getting
Yeah.
versus some other kind. And they know that that we take care of the honey.
Yeah.
We're not force filtering it. We're not overheating it. And so people know exactly what they're getting. When
A lot of
they're picking it off the
love
shelf.
goes into
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff. So, I mean, if you really believe in your product, people will know it.
Yeah. But it all starts with the care of the bees, right?
It
The-
does.
and-
Yeah, without that, right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
have a love, and you've definitely have a love for bees, but you've grown up with bees. Is that fair to say you have a love for the bees?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have few friends, but yet I have millions.
Well, I think we're going to watch a video that Brian has about unique selling propositions. There's a lot of businesses out there. Cox's have their unique selling propositions, but I think there's a 95-year-old story about taking care of bees and producing great products. So, again, super grateful to have Brent and Adam here today. And next week, Brian Magleby will be here with Brian Bird, I believe, the guy in charge of the fair. That's coming up. You guys go to the fair?
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
you bet.
Yeah. I mean, the fair is a great time. So I'll be watching that from a beach somewhere. But always super grateful for our guests coming on and being a part of us, and for our sponsors as well. So I'm Tyler Price. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
How to create a strong USP or unique selling proposition. Hi, my name is Jolanda James, and I help small businesses who sell services create profitable, unique selling propositions that get results. And in today's show, we're going to discuss how to create a USP for your business. All right, so some businesses, they will say, there is literally nothing special about my business. And you probably think that as well. Maybe your business isn't complicated and it's very simple. I mean, you just do this thing and that's it. And pretty much everyone else just does this thing and that's it. There is nothing special. There's something special about every single business. And it's like a superpower I can always see it. You just have to look. But you know what's so interesting? When you're in your business, like you're the person, only people on the outside can see what you can't see. Do you find that? I know, it's like the weirdest thing. So sometimes outside perspective is what you need in order to see what's so special about you. But wouldn't it be great, instead of saying the same thing that everyone else is saying, you said something different, and your customers responded by saying, oh my God, thank you so much. This is exactly what I was looking for. Like, imagine like your business where you probably have to like hire somebody else, or you can go on vacation. Your life would just completely change with like a tiny little switch. It could totally happen. It can. And so I'm going to share with you how you can create a profitable USP for your business. Okay, so a USP, in case you don't know, it tells people why they should choose your business over another business. And so when people go into business, they typically think, oh my God, I'm so good at this, I should open up a business. And they do that thing. And the problem with that is there's lots of other businesses doing that thing. And so while you initially may get a lot of play because you're the new person, people want to try it out, after that, you become a Me Too company. A Me Too company is just like, oh, you've seen them one, you've seen them all. And so it's very hard to establish a USP after that. Once, if you know, after you've launched and the newness is worn off, you know. So one of the best ways to create a USP for your business is to solve a problem. And sometimes, if you're not the first to the market, let's say, you know, you're not the first person. Maybe you're just joining another market, like a bakery or something. Like there's tons of bakery in town, and you're just like another bakery. Well, instead of solving that core problem of bakery, then you probably have to go to the next level and solve that problem. And so that is, if you look there and solve a secondary problem or another problem, then it will be easier to create a USP. And so a case in point is, I worked with this client. She sold yoga clothing. And like, I don't do yoga, as you can totally tell, right? But one of the things about it is, like, to me, all yoga clothes looks the same, like, you know, overpriced leggings, really. So like her products, they were made in the US. There was like other people made in the US. She had like really cute designs. Other people had cute designs. She had really cool like materials. Everybody has cool materials or cuts. It was like done. Like nothing was different. And she thought that like if she just got into magazines or got on these different platforms, then she would be like different and unique. And it was like, no, that can get you attention, but that wouldn't make someone go out and buy your product over the one, you know, sitting next to it. And so once I started speaking to her, learning more about her product, I learned one of the things that she hated was when she did yoga, she hated how the dye would like come off on her skin. And so because of that, she washed her clothes 3 times, her personal product. She washed her yoga clothes 3 times so that by the time it got to the customers, even if it's the first time they've worn it, the dye wouldn't come off on their skin. And I was like, that is your thing, girl. You hate it. If you research it, other people hate it because yoga people are really, you know, health conscious and they don't want those chemicals on their skin. They like do anything to stay away from chemicals. So I was like, if you say, like, instead of, you know, try and be pretty girls with unique poses, like simple everything everyone else is doing, instead talk about how you wash your yoga clothing 3 times to get the dye off. Yeah. She's doing the pretty girls with pretty yoga poses, but it's a unique thing for your business. So to find your USP for your business, after you solve that core problem, which let's say your bakery, then look for the secondary problem and solve that problem. That's like one of the easiest ways to develop a USP for your business. Stop saying what everyone else is saying and say something different. Now, if you need help crafting your USP, go to Profitable USP and, you know, I'll give you a report. I'll give you feedback on what I think of your USP and how you can improve it. All right. Thanks so much for watching this video. See you soon. Bye.